Of all the handheld games I attribute formative memories to, Pokemon is probably at the top. One time I called Professor Birch Professor Bitch and my mom yelled at me. Just try and tell me that wasn't formative. I grew up with Pokemon, and that's why from a place of earnest love, I think the games have a problem with how they pace themselves. Look no further than Sun and Moon. The entire first 2 hours of the game is tutorial and cutscenes and tutorial cutscenes, all unskippable even in the re-releases. I mean, there's a cutscene for jumping ledges. Help. In Crystal's tutorial, you walk 2 routes, fight your rival, learn about towns, and watch some dude catch a Pokemon, and 2 of those are optional, so really just the first half. A generous total time of 15 minutes. Afterwards, you're off on your own. I don't think I ever really felt on my own in Sun and Moon. It's so caught up in this overarching story that you lose any control you had as a player over the pacing. Pokemon became a story game first and an adventure game second. In Crystal, storytelling is environmental. The Burned Tower, Mount Silver, Cinnabar Island. You see them when you play, but to understand them, you have to search for that information. They don't make you talk to this green dude who inexplicably knows all the lore. You have to ask him yourself. It's a conscious choice. The lore is a reward for that. But when you're forced to listen to lore, it's not a reward. It's a checklist. Totem Pokemon, check. Recon Squad, check. Aether Foundation, check. Queen and an Ace, check. You aren't exploring, you're just riding the rails of what the developer wants you to do. A storyline should be interesting enough to draw your attention to it willingly. The quest for information should be just as compelling as the quest for recognition. But half the time, Pokemon lore just falls from the ceiling. And not only is it crammed down your throat, it's done so in a way that completely controls the rate at which you take it in. Roadblocks are a constant, repeating feature of Pokemon games. Do not pass go until you complete X nearby event. With this restricted progression, the collective experience becomes monotonous and subsequent playthroughs tedious. Everyone's playing the same game the same way. Pokemon often does let you travel past a town to explore ahead, but the exploration is usually superficial with maybe 1 or 2 interesting things to scout out, and always ends with you going, alright, I get it, I'll go beat the gym first. Goldenrod City doesn't obstruct you from walking right through it into the national park, but head any further and you'll learn a Sudowoodo blocks the path. There's nothing inherently wrong with this roadblock, but to pass it you have to backtrack all the way to Goldenrod to retrieve a watering can and then walk back again. Worse yet, this can't be done without beating the Goldenrod gym. Now to be fair, this roadblock also serves as a shortcut back to the first gym, making it fairly important, but the process of clearing it feels like more of a chore than it does a quest. I'm not saying roadblocks are bad. In fact, roadblocks are necessary challenges, but there is a distinct difference between a logical path obstruction you have to adapt around and an obvious brick wall the developers slapped in. In my ideal world, roadblocks would be disconnected from gym badges entirely, letting you come and go from towns as you wish. But instead, gyms must be done in order and only as fast as the game wants you to do them. Oftentimes, reaching a town means you won't be leaving it until you've done everything available there. Even the map design reflects this. Routes are a place for exploration and progression, while towns are a place for story and preparation. Unfortunately, most replay value is throttled due to the linear nature of this. If you're trying to catch a specific Pokemon, but they're only available in the second half of the game, then sorry, but you're gonna have to grind your way there. This seems fairly avoidable. If wild encounters and trainers scaled their levels based off the player's badge count and then let you obtain them in any order, it would make your playthrough infinitely more personal. My ideal Crystal lineup would be Typhlosion, Quagsire, Skarmory, Sneasel, Hitmontop, and Scizor. Technically Tyranitar would be here, but you don't get one until Mount Silver, whatever. Instead of doing badges 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which would take me 8 badges to catch this lineup, the best way for me would be 1, 8, 7, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2. I could collect my entire lineup within the first 4 badges of the game because of their spawn locations. And yeah, new players aren't going to know their preferred lineup until they've beaten it, but they also don't have much chance to experiment outside of the norm until they're already late into it either. They'll encounter the same Pokemon in the same order as everybody else who played it. It's a franchise about making your own unique team, with unique battle strategies, using your own unique character, so you'd figure the game would tailor itself to a unique playthrough, but instead everybody is forced through an interchangeable experience. Hey bro, where you at so far? Wouldn't it be awesome to start your playthrough by just running to some random town and pretending your family moved into the heart of the city instead of bumfuck nowhere? For that matter, what if you could actually start your game from any town? Instantly, the game has a new form of replay value then. If you're looking to build an ice team, then start by the snow. If you want a rock team, start by some caves. If you want a grass team, start by considering your horrible life choices. The possibilities are limitless. And speaking of limitless, I'm sure we all know this fan-made image by now. And I gotta say, you people are insane. Nintendo is slow to adapt. They do it, but very slowly. Ignoring whether or not the Switch could even handle a game that resource-intensive, open-world Pokemon is a pipe dream for any time soon, because of how safe they play it with changing the formula. You need more evidence? I can show you with a single picture. It hurts, doesn't it? I already like how Pokemon is geographically laid out anyways. Linear routes connecting towns. Keeping this design while limiting badge-based progression would be a fair compromise. If the world around you scaled alongside your experience, then there wouldn't be an issue of running into the wrong place under-leveled. If anything, this would let you throw in more areas like the Tin Tower or Mount Silver, places you reasonably cannot enter without experience, because weak trainers might fucking die if they do. Finally, being able to fight Red feels like an accomplishment, like you've climbed your own metaphorical mountain to get here. I don't feel that way when I'm blocked from reaching the 3rd gym. I feel like I'm 10 again and I have to wait for my mom to finish those errands before I can watch Naruto episode 124, The Beast Within. Pokemon is supposed to feel like the opposite of that. I decide my adventure. I decide where to go. Being 10 should mean nothing in this universe. If I can capture a legendary beast full health with a Pokeball, then I think I can handle smashing the rock that blocks you from passing the 3rd gym. Passing roadblocks rarely feels earned. They feel more like a toll booth I have to scavenge coins up for before I can continue. Except it's actually T because coins made too much sense. You know what I signed up for? Exploring, fighting, training, and becoming the champion. You know what I didn't sign up for? This, or you want to flood the earth? You live on the earth! A story-centric game is fine, but when it gets in the way of the actual gameplay, I take issue. Often you feel actively discouraged to explore on your own because there's implicit lore unfolding that you have to keep up with. Worse yet, this throws off the pace of gym battles, stretching hours between some of them because of how busy you become with the story. Anyways, to summarize, my ideal Pokemon game would have short-form optional tutorials, minimal mandatory story events, no mandatory badge order, and minimal badge-reliant roadblocks. I can fully admit that everything I say is opinion, and with opinion comes fallacy. Like, you could raise an argument that minimizing story focus would just take away from the quality of a game, and starting wherever you want on the map might just affect your ability to follow that story. Mending these problems is really just a matter of making entry points to quests more flexible, but I can acknowledge the problem. You could also raise an argument that removing badge order would be a massive undertaking given the amount of variables involved. Assuming there's 8 badges, we could permutate that order of completion 40,320 different ways. So scaling the difficulty through every single one of these would be hell. Maybe you could slap a multiplier onto every Pokemon which grows based on your badge count, but I'm certainly in no place to call that easy. When people call Gen 2 their favorite, oftentimes they really mean I loved having 2 regions. And I understand the constraints preventing this from being a common practice. Even with reused assets, it takes a lot of development hours to implement another region, not to mention how much it might push the total file size. But multi-regions aren't the only way to elongate a game's playtime. The Battle Tower and Sevi Isles were groundbreaking in themselves, which, side note, let's go cut the Sevi Isles out. That's just fucked. I didn't even buy this game and I'm upset. Without post-game, Pokemon's pacing quite literally halts after the champion. Sure, you can collect Pokemon or, I'm sorry, Ultra Beasts. But is there really a reason to? I'd argue no. Battle facilities seem to be the standard Game Freak chooses, which is nice in itself, but I can't help but feel like there's a lot left to be desired with post-game content. Sun and Moon acted like they changed the formula, but they didn't. Fundamentally, nothing is different. Pokemon doesn't have to change. In fact, I'm not even saying I know how it should, but if it's going to try, I want to see a real attempt at evolution, true innovation. I want to see a new Pokemon game. Alright, script's done. Looks like we're good. Ah, fuck!
My patrons help me over every hurdle.